This video is going to be a little tough because I'm an enabler. I enable bad behavior. That's my role. That's where I've gone wrong in my life. That's why I attracted the abuse that I did. I have complete understanding for why people are doing the things that they're doing, and my understanding gives out this compassion and love to always try and keep the peace. And my mission, I know, is to stop enabling and probably reveal some family secrets that don't want to get out. And it's like what I've observed is other people love to spread rumors and lies about me, but dare I say my point of view. Like I should keep my mouth shut. And I will keep my mouth shut because I don't want to offend the people that I happen to love. I'm kind of still waiting for them to get it, one day and bring my family together. The reason I smoke is because my family is so fucking disconnected. And when you give birth to your kids and you love them as much as I do, you will do anything to make it a loving family. And if that means keeping your mouth shut, you'll do that too. But after this week, and this is to my family members, when one of your siblings was near death and nobody showed up, and regardless of whether you were in contact, somebody was given a message, and this goes specifically to my son that we did. We'll analyze his little logic. They're all connected. Nobody wants to communicate with us because they all think I'm crazy and that my daughter is being heavily influenced by somebody that's crazy, so they're not going to have anything to do with her. They're going to shun her because she happens to love her mom. And they're all trying to persuade me to do everything that's wrong out of love. I know they're doing it out of love. They're embarrassed by their mother being on a welfare system. And they're not connecting the dots that, hey, your mother's gone through hell, your mother has arms that can no longer do the friggin' labor that you kids want me to continue doing. It's like I slaved and slaved and slaved for these people, and now they want me to go back out and do things that I know will physically kill me because of the health problems that it's created. It's escalated the health issues so much that to do the types of jobs that they want me to do, they know damn well it will kill me, but they want me to do it anyways because they're embarrassed by welfare. And it's like, you know what, if the universe wants to pay me this way, I don't care. I will go out and earn a living. I've tried, but nobody wants this information out. It's like, if I studied this and know this inside out, then I should be able to make a living at it. But there are challenges with the universe actually wanting this information out. I have gone even on the Dragon's Den, and you know what? They didn't even want me to open my mouth at all. It was all about calling this person a nut bar. So there is more pressure to suppress information, and they're willing to beat you down until you conform. And my physical health prevents me from doing all the wrong things. It's not like I got a choice anymore, and it is very much psychosomatic, but they are really, medical issues according to our own standards that says I can't do the wrong thing anymore, but my family wants me to do the wrong thing because they're embarrassed by a welfare check. So they don't want to communicate. They don't, after seeing them not give a shit about their sibling, they could be dead and none of them will give a shit. I see that as a big problem, and so it's forcing me not to be that enabler and to keep things quiet, because I know there's no damn way in hell this family's ever going to come together. Keeping my mouth shut is not going to bring the family together. And yeah, it's sort of like I'm going to be the calling Thomas and make things really global issues. And it's like, you know what, if you don't want somebody talking about this shit, then maybe you should be at a peace table and work out some of these family issues so that part of this family doesn't go out and tell lies, like the lies that are being told about me. Now, some of my observations, my son, who's, desperate for love because the abusive experience that he had, has him in a state of lack of love. So he'll fall for the first thing that crosses his path, and he will tie to the girl that he's in love with and over family, because family from this divorce has definitely caused him an awful lot of pain. So he's going to be really, really focused on protecting the one that he loves. Makes a lot of sense. I understand it perfectly. However, let's sort of analyze. He has married the same personality that his father married. It's after I divorced him, my ex married somebody else that just has very low self-esteem issues. Always constantly felt like I was a threat, like I want my ex-husband back. So she went way out of her way to ensure that all my kids hate my guts. So she's made it in email. She's said an awful lot that I'm intentionally going to turn your kids against you. I will be their mother, and I will destroy you in the process, and I'm damn good at it. I got lots of emails that says word for word, basically, of that intention. And out of 9 years, there's a lot of actions that you can see. She did a lot of work to accomplish that job, and she was very successful at it, because the majority of them won't talk to me anymore. But they only taught my kids how not to respect, and they don't really like them either. But because they're more desperate, because they weren't getting any love from their father, they got a lot of love from me, so they trusted me. They can do whatever the hell they want to me, because they know at the end of the day I'm going to love them anyways. But their father's love is something that they're desperate for, so they're focused on that. And in the meantime, because you're so focused on what it is you hate, you turn into it. So my boys definitely are following the exact same patterns as their father. Everything to the T. They dislike their father, but they turned out to have the exact same behaviors as their father. One of them is they don't like to deal with any problems. And this one particular son, his new rule is, I don't do conflict. So basically, if there's any problem, there's no way in hell he's ever going to want to solve any problems, because he doesn't do conflict. He's blocked out any attempts to solve any type of problem, exactly like his father's does. And then he's marrying this girl that's obsessive compulsive, low self-esteem. She drinks, hard worker. She's obsessive compulsive, and people that are obsessive compulsive need things to be perfect, and they'll be obsessively compulsively trying to get things perfect, and yet perfect in their mind never exists. So they're constantly working on something that will never be created. And so she's gone to great lengths to push away all of the family members, all of his friends. My son lost his friends. I don't know if they're still in contact or not, but I mean, his friends were calling him, this girlfriend, evil, the devil. I mean, some of the ways that this girl was described is pretty harsh. And she doesn't realize she's creating it. She just says, hey, look at, Brad, don't stay around these people, because look at what they're saying about the girl that loves you, and she will never recognize her own insanity. Now, let's look at her family issues, because during the time that I got to know her, just before the ring got on her finger, it was like I was her best friend until she got the ring on the finger. It's almost like I got to get the mother to approve of me so he will ask me to marry him. And as soon as she got the ring on the finger, instantly she turned. She turned totally against me and did everything she could to push me out of his life and to push my daughter out of his life. And her issue is she tells stories that when she was a kid, she could do nothing right. Her parents were constantly picking on her and telling her everything she did was wrong. She was an athlete, so, very, very good at athlete, always did well in school, always worked. I mean, everything this girl did, you couldn't ask for a better daughter to do the things that she was doing, but her parents always seen everything wrong about her. And then she describes her mother as having cancer 3 times, and says that her mother ended up curing her cancer when she kind of lightened up a bit. So, it was the stress of never seeing anything perfect that created a health issue. And as soon as she sort of let go of that one, she doesn't have cancer anymore. Meanwhile, that behavior is exactly the same as her mother. She doesn't know it yet. She also took in my daughter thinking that, she could help her out because apparently her mother's, influencing my youngest daughter to, I don't know, be wrong or whatever. And so they thought that they would help her out. Well, while they were helping her out, guess what? My daughter couldn't do anything right. Every single thing she did was wrong. To the point where my son was now telling my daughter that my daughter has to apologize to his girlfriend, otherwise it will be risking their relationship. So my daughter's basically got to apologize for things that, she didn't do anything wrong, but she's got to constantly apologize, making this girl think that she was the one that was right, which is just another form of enabling. So in a way, my son is repeating my habits by, trying to keep the peace and not having any form of communication whatsoever, trying to keep the peace. He's an enabler himself. He's got his mother's behavior and he's got his father's behaviors going on, and he's doing nothing but creating the same problem all over again. And then I ended up, for some odd reason, learning more about autism. And I'm seeing the same behaviors. My son he's been tested to not be able to receive information, but yet he can process information really, really fast. So that was his biggest problem of why he was lacking love from his dad, is because his father would always tell him what to do, and he couldn't pay attention to the orders that was given, so he'd never be able to do anything right. So his father's constantly yelling at the child all the time. And now that pattern is just being repeated all over again. This medical issue, okay, he can't receive information but processes things fast. Then the girl that he's marrying is obsessive compulsive, and so you mix the two together, the DNA together, and what do you get? Autism. Because if you look at people that are diagnosed with autism, you look at the parents, and yes, there are some vaccines, and there are social reasons that do create autism. But at the end of the day, if you want to look at the genetics that create it, it is an obsessive compulsive. Kids that are obsessive or have autism, they do have an obsessive thought that goes over and over and over and over in their minds. They definitely block out information. You can't communicate with these people exactly the way my son is. So here's just look at the behaviors of somebody that has autism. It is a very obsessive compulsive thinking and blocking out information, so you can't communicate with them. And they have a heightened ability to access information. They can process information much faster, just like my son can do. So they seem like they're geniuses. They could be appear like they're savants, and that's because they've totally blocked out any information that they don't want to know, but they're highly focused on things that they do want to know. So they're like masters at one specific thing that they need to get perfect at. So that's what autism is. So in my future, unless these people change their behavior patterns, they will be giving birth to an autistic child. And because I might mention it or predict it, it's like, oh, I created it, I put the energy into it, and it's like, that is a misconception. It's like, if you can just see the patterns, everything can be prevented. But you have to be able to recognize the patterns to be able to prevent it. So there are some big dark secrets in my family that these patterns that I see are being repeated over and over again. The mixture of DNA will create the same patterns over and over again. They're going to be in this reality, the same pattern as I have, where I said there's no damn way my family's ever going to repeat this abusive pattern. And yet here I am. Had 4 kids, and I'm watching this pattern being repeated. So I failed. My kids are doing the same thing. They're saying, there's no way I'm going to be the type of parent you are. Meanwhile, they have the exact same behaviors as I have. So it's like watching a mirror. I'm watching my kids create the pain that I went through. And I live with that pain every day because I know my kids are going to go through the same pain as I did because they got the same friggin' behaviors, and which is going to create the same type of experiences if they don't fucking snap out of it. But that's the beauty part of it, is if you snap out of it, if you can see the patterns, then you can break them. But you gotta see the patterns in order to break it. And nobody sees patterns. Peace out.